right, welcome back. This week we're going to explore the root cause of stress with mental flexibility. Please be sure to have a paper and a pen or a pencil ready so that you can participate in the activity that this video will go through. Let's get started. So think back a few weeks ago when we learned about the psychology of stress. We discussed that perception plays a key role into if what we perceive to be stressful or not. Our experiences impact our perception of stress, of course. And so today we'll look at perception through the idea of practicing mental flexibility. So remember, we're examining the psychological and emotional resiliency training model, or the PERTS model. And essentially, this model teaches us skills to help professionals overcome difficult and stressful situations. These are some of the most important skills that you will develop while you're in school and in life to help you manage those challenging moments. There are 6 parts, including self-regulation, mental flexibility, motivation and self-directed achiever, positive psychological strengths, interpersonal connection and support, and self-care and revitalization. We have learned about self-regulation and mental flexibility so far, and we'll continue with mental flexibility this week. Remember, mental flexibility is basically the ability to think about things differently, and perception is a key component of this. So before we go further, let's do a quick experiment. Take a moment and think about what kind of bird you see. You likely thought a duck, of course, right? Okay, now think about what kind of mammal do you see? If you see a bunny, then you're correct. All right, perceptual processing allows us to make sense out of sensory stimuli and perceive the world around us. This is a process of selecting, organizing, and interpreting information from our senses. So let's practice. The experiment that we just did illustrates how language, context, can influence our expectations to perceive or view the external world in a specific way. Your perception was guided based on my language. I set the context for you by asking you which bird or mammal you saw, and this shaped your perception both times likely. So our perception of reality is interdependent. What we see is influenced by context like language, expectations, emotional states or moods, past experiences, and cultural norms. So now let's dive deeper into our discussion by examining our responsibilities and putting this to practice. So go ahead and get out that sheet of paper, and on that draw a line down the middle, and on the left side write have to. And then come up with as many tasks as you can that you have to do. And I've given you some examples here that I've done. So I have to cook dinner, work, pay bills, pay taxes, clean, water my plants, take care of my kids. So you take a minute or a moment, I'll give you about 20 seconds or so, and think about how many things you have to do. It can be within a day or a week, a month, whatever comes to mind. If we were live together, we'd read these out loud as a class together. But to improvise, we're going to read our statements to ourselves. So take a minute and read the statements that you wrote down to yourself. You can say them out loud to make it even more powerful and impactful. So you might say things like, I have to do the dishes. I have to go to work. I have to pay bills. You take a moment and read your list. Pay attention to how you feel as you read your list. So what was it like reading your have to items? How did you feel about these items as you read your list? If you felt kind of daunting tasks ahead of you or felt overwhelmed or even stressed, you're not alone. Now let's do the next part of the activity. On the other side of your paper, write choose to. And I have an example here for you. And for each item that you have, finish it with I choose to because or so that. So for example, I choose to cook dinner so that we have something to eat. I choose to pay bills so my family has a home. I choose to pay taxes so I don't get in trouble. And you take a moment and do that for as many as you can. I'll give you about 20 seconds. Okay, so again, if we were together, we'd read these out loud, but since we're not, go ahead and read them to yourselves. And this time you're going to do the choose to. So I choose to blank so that blank. So I choose to pay bills so that we have a roof over our heads. Take a moment and read yours out loud. So did you feel different than the first time around? Likely it did, because you changed your language and perception of the tasks you listed. This is another way to practice mental flexibility or the way that we view our circumstances. We can change our perception of something like work or school from feeling stressful to feeling empowered just by the language that we use. Good work. So next week, we will learn more about deploying character strengths, purpose, and self-direction. Until then, make it a great week.